CreepyCorner stories.
The title says it all. My ex disappeared last year. I just found a video of her chained up and being fed her own skin. Now I have to ask you, if you ever stumbled across a video like that on the dark web, would you watch it all the way through, or would you slam your laptop shut and pretend you never saw it? Be honest. Comment below, because I really want to know what you'd do. And don't forget to subscribe if you want more stories like this one. Now, let's get into it. My ex disappeared last year. I just found a video of her chained up and being fed her own skin. So I've been sitting on this for a while now. Mostly because it doesn't feel real. It feels like some messed up ARG or creepypasta someone made for YouTube Cloud. But this happened. This is real. And if it's not, then someone went way too far to ruin my life. This all started just over a year ago. I had just broken up with my girlfriend of 2 years, Maddie. It wasn't a crazy, dramatic breakup. No screaming or cheating or anything like that. It was just distance. She was getting into some weird stuff online, becoming obsessed with forums about consciousness experiments, lucid dreaming, digital voids, and other edgy internet rabbit holes. Stuff that sounded cool at first but slowly turned into a dark obsession. I remember the last time I saw her in person. We were sitting in a Starbucks downtown in LA. The one near the big Barnes & Noble off 3rd Street. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept in days. Her hands were trembling when she held her coffee. She kept glancing at the security cameras in the corner of the shop. "You don't get it, do you?" she said, not even looking at me. "There's places online that don't want to be found, and once you find them, you can't unfollow." I half laughed, trying to lighten the mood, but she just stared out the window. They watch you, like, not even metaphorically. Your camera, your phone mic, your GPS. If you go deep enough into the web, something else finds you. I remember that line exactly. Something else finds you. We officially stopped talking a week later. No texts, no calls, no social media activity. For Instagram went black, like literally black. Every post deleted, profile picture gone. Even her bio changed to just a black square emoji. At the time, I figured she just needed a clean break. But then her parents reached out a month later, asking if I'd seen her. They hadn't. And the police weren't helpful either. They took the report, checked her apartment, completely untouched, laptop missing no, and chalked it up to an adult leaving on her own free will. Then last week, out of nowhere, I get a Dropbox link in my DMs on Instagram. The account was a blank profile with no username and a profile picture of static, like the kind you see on old TVs. The message just said, "You left her behind, now you watch." It didn't have any likes, no reactions, and it was gone within minutes of me seeing it, like it deleted itself or was wiped by some bot. I don't even know why I clicked the link. Maybe because I still felt guilty. Maybe because some part of me wanted to know if she was okay. I hadn't thought about her in months. And suddenly, there she was. The video was not what I expected. It opened with a black screen and this looping, distorted music playing in the background, like elevator music that had been slowed down and warped. Then it cut to what looked like a basement, cement walls, flickering overhead light, a camera shaking slightly, like it was handheld. And in the center of the room was Maddie. I swear to God, it was her. Same long dark hair, same freckle under her right eye, but she looked hollow, pale. Her arms were chained behind her back, and her skin was covered in what looked like cuts, some fresh, some old. Then this thing walked into frame. I can't explain what it was. It was a man, I think, but something about him felt off, too tall. Wearing this kind of tattered gray suit, like someone tried to dress up a mannequin from a thrift store. His face was covered by an old gas mask with red lenses. And then his hand, he was holding a piece of meat. I didn't want to believe what it was. But then he crouched down, grabbed her by the jaw, and forced it into her mouth. She screamed, thrashed, but he just held her in place. She tried spitting it out, but he clamped her mouth shut, and held it there for over a minute. The camera zoomed in, shaky and close, until you could see the tears running down her face. The masked man finally stepped back, and Maddie slumped over, sobbing. Then the screen went black. Text appeared in white, glitchy font. She's been here for 387 days. You could have saved her. And that was it. I threw up, literally ran to the bathroom and puked in the sink. My head was spinning and I had no idea what I just watched. Was it real? A sick prank? Some deep fake? But it looked real, and I knew Maddie. I knew how she moved, how she cried, even the sound of her breathing. Those little quirks you only learn when you've loved someone. I reported the Dropbox link, called the cops, showed them everything. They basically shrugged. Said it could have been AI generated, that nothing illegal had been proven. Even when I insisted that Maddie was still missing and that I recognized her in the video, they said they'd look into it. Spoiler, they didn't. So I started looking into it myself. I went back to her old Reddit history, her Discords, her Notes app backups I had on an old iCloud. She had been diving deep into the dark web. Not just Tor browsers and Bitcoin stuff, but forums I've never heard of. One called the HoloNet, another called Spectral Threads, and one that kept popping up in screenshots, SkinScript. Most of the forums were gone now, either scrubbed clean or behind encrypted layers I don't even know how to access. But the one clue that stuck with me was something she'd written in her Notes app. To find the real dark web, you don't search. You wait for an invite. You have to be seen by them first. What the hell does that mean? Who are they? That was 5 days ago. Last night, I got another message. This time, it wasn't on Instagram. It came through a private YouTube channel. Just a video title that said, Day 392. She remembers you now. I haven't clicked it yet. I don't know if I should. But I think I'm going to. You ever stare at a YouTube thumbnail for so long that it feels like it's staring back at you? The video was titled, Day 392. She remembers you now. 0 views. 0 likes. Unlisted. The thumbnail was just a black square, but when I squinted at it, I swear I could make out something warped, like a blurred face behind plastic wrap, like someone pressing their mouth against it, frozen mid-scream. It took me 6 hours to finally hit play. I was shaking, not exaggerating. I had to literally press the spacebar with my knuckle because my fingers wouldn't stop trembling. I had headphones on, door locked, all the lights off, and I still didn't feel safe. The video opened to silence. No music, no intro, just static. Then, one frame flashed too fast to catch. I rewound and paused it, frame by frame. That's when I saw it. A picture of me. Not one from Instagram, not a selfie. It was a low-angle photo of me sleeping in my own bed. My arm was hanging off the side, phone on my chest, mouth slightly open. The kind of candid photo you don't even know exists until someone shows it to you. The timestamp in the corner? It was from 2 nights ago. 2 nights ago, when I thought I was alone. Then the screen flickered again, and cut to a different room. Not the same concrete basement from before. This looked like a padded cell, but off. The walls were covered in wallpaper that looked like skin, literally textured to look like flesh. Veiny, patchy, and pulsing slightly, like it was breathing. There was no window, no exit, just Maddie. She was strapped upright to this rusted dentist chair, her arms locked down with these iron cuffs that looked like they were made from repurposed animal traps. Her eyes were bloodshot. One was swollen shut, like it had been punched. The other locked on to the camera. No recognition, just a dead stare. I whispered her name without realizing. Then, behind her, the gas mask man reappeared. But this time, he wasn't alone. There were 2 others. One more a white nurse's outfit. Not clean. It looked like it had been dragged through a slaughterhouse. Her face was covered by a porcelain doll mask, with real human hair glued around the edges. The other wore a full mascot suit, like something out of a defunct Chuck E. Cheese, but the suit was melted, parts of it fused to what looked like raw skin underneath. His gloves were red, dripping. I swear it was blood. I froze. The mascot started laughing. Not a cartoon laugh, like a recording of a child's laugh on loop, slowly pitched down until it became almost demonic. The nurse wheeled in, a steel tray covered with tools, dull scissors, bolt cutters, what looked like a small saw. I saw a branding iron too. The head of it was shaped like a spiral, like a hypnotic symbol you'd see in old cartoons, but blackened and used. Then the camera zoomed in, and Maddie spoke. Her voice was cracked, dry like sandpaper. "He's watching. I told you he would." Then she smiled, not like she was happy. It was a forced grin, the kind someone gives when they've been told to smile, or else. The gas mask man leaned in and pulled out a phone. My phone. Same case, same hairline crack down the middle of the screen. He turned it toward her and played a voicemail. It was my voice. Me, from last year, during our breakup. "I can't do this anymore, Maddie. You're scaring me. You need help. I can't go down whatever dark hole you're in." She started crying. And then she whispered, "You fed me to them." Suddenly the mascot slammed his hand down on the tray, sending the tools flying. Then he reached toward her thigh and pulled up her pants leg. I saw deep red lines, rows of them. Letters. Words carved into her skin. I paused the screen and traced the cuts with my finger. It said, "The skin remembers." Then the nurse stepped in with the saw. I couldn't look away. She didn't saw into her. She began peeling. Like slicing an orange. Slow, calculated. The gas mask man held her steady while she thrashed and screamed, but the audio glitched every few seconds, looping the same second shriek over and over, like a corrupted file. The floor beneath her was covered in blood, and when the nurse was done, she lifted the strip of skin, maybe 5 inches long, and carefully rolled it up like a fruit roll-up, placing it into Maddie's mouth. She didn't chew. She didn't scream anymore. She just cried while it sat on her tongue. Then the video glitched again, fast-cut frames that only lasted a split second each. I screen recorded and paused them one by one, a highway exit sign for a road I recognized, just outside San Bernardino. A McDonald's bathroom mirror with something written in lipstick, "Wear the skin." A man's face, pale, smiling, no eyelids. A dead dog, scraped open, with what looked like USB cables coming out of its ribs. My old apartment door, open. The last image was of me again, but not a photo. It was a live stream. I jumped up and slammed my laptop shut. I couldn't breathe. My heart felt like it was punching my ribs from the inside. I ripped the webcam off my monitor, threw my phone across the room, and just stood there, completely frozen, for what felt like hours. Someone had been in my apartment, multiple times, recording me, stalking me, waiting. I barely slept that night, but when I did, I had this dream, or vision, or whatever you want to call it. I was back in the padded cell. Everything smelled like copper and milled. Maddie was there again, but this time, she wasn't tied up. She was kneeling over someone else, me, my own body, lying motionless on the floor. She looked up at me and said, "You're already down here with me." I woke up screaming, legit screaming. Neighbors even knocked on the door. I lied and said I had a nightmare, but I could tell they didn't believe me. I looked in the mirror and saw something written in red marker on my neck. "Eat what you've done." I didn't write it. I live alone. My doors were locked. I wiped it off and just sat on the floor until the sun came up. That was yesterday. Today, I got a package in the mail. No return address, no markings. Just a plain cardboard box sealed with duct tape. I didn't even want to open it, but curiosity, or insanity, won. Inside was a VHS tape, old, dusty, smelled like rust and mold. No label, just one thing etched into the back in black ink. Day 400, your turn. I don't own a VHS player, but I know where I can get one. There's an abandoned Blockbuster about 2 towns over. I've seen urban explorers on TikTok go there. Some of them say weird stuff happens if you go at night. I never believed it before. I do now. I'm going there tonight. If I don't post again, it's because I saw what's on that tape, and I couldn't come back from it. The building looked like it had been dead for years. Roof collapsed in places. Weeds growing through the cracks of the parking lot. The old blue Blockbuster sign was still barely hanging on, like a fossil from a time when things didn't rot like this. The air outside smelled like hot plastic and old water. It was humid and quiet, unnaturally quiet, like the whole area had been turned on mute. No cars. Even the wind felt like it was afraid to breathe. I didn't even have to break in. The side door was cracked open already, like it had been waiting for me, like someone knew I was coming. I was holding the VHS like it was a ticking bomb, wrapped it in an old hoodie tucked under my arm, phone off, no Wi-Fi, nothing that could track me. The inside of the Blockbuster was worse than I thought. Ceiling tiles fallen in, mold streaked across the walls like veins. Rows of shelves collapsed, movie covers torn and wet, like they'd been chewed on. Some of the old DVD cases still had price tags. Buy 2, get 1 free. I think the last movie someone rented was Saw 3. The receipt was still stuck to the counter. There was one room in the back that still had power. No, I don't know how. No. There wasn't a generator. The building hasn't had electricity since 2014. So, are you sorry? And yet, the old CRT TV in the corner, dusty, screen flickering with soft static, was already on. I didn't even plug the VCR in. It was just ready. So I sat down, and I pushed in the tape. The screen stayed black for a long time. Then words, one line at a time, started to fade in. Congratulations, you've finally come home. Cut to footage, grainy, warped like old film. It was nighttime, a body cam, maybe. The person holding the camera was walking through what looked like an underground tunnel. Concrete dripping with brown water, walls covered in torn up photos. All of the faces had been scraped off. I saw photos of kids, families, pets, celebrities. All faceless. Then the camera turned and stopped in front of a door. A thick iron one, like something out of a war bunker. Scratched into it with what looked like fingernails were the words, "You can't unwatch." The door creaked open, and what I saw inside, I can't even lie to you. I don't want to describe it, but I have to. Because if I don't, you might go looking. The room was circular, like a silo, with no ceiling. The walls stretched impossibly high, too high for a place underground. They were covered in skin, not leather, not wallpaper, human skin. Stitched together like a patchwork quilt, still fresh in some places, with tattoos and moles and scars visible. A fly buzzed across the screen. In the center of the room was a stage. On it, a woman stood, head down, arms out like a scarecrow. She wasn't restrained, but she wasn't moving. The camera panned around her slowly. It was Maddie, but she was different. Her eyes were gone, not gouged, just absent, like they were never there. Her mouth was sewn shut with fishing line. Her skin had symbols carved into it. Circles and side squares, strange runes, almost like QR codes, but warped, like ancient tech. And then I heard the first sound, clapping. A slow, rhythmic clap echoing from the corners of the room. Not one person, not two. Dozens, maybe more. The camera turned and revealed them, figures sitting on benches carved from bone. They were wearing the masks now, all different. And now the conflict is proud of the rooms. One looked like a giant smiling emoji, stretched into a full-face mask, with painted tears dripping from the eyes. One had a mask that looked like a police officer's face, but it had no mouth, just a long, wet tongue hanging out of the eye socket. One wore a full suit made of McDonald's Happy Meal boxes taped together, but the inside of the mask was dripping red, not ketchup. They all started chanting, one word, over and over. Recast, recast, recast. And then the lights went out, screaming. The footage glitched. And suddenly, I was no longer watching, I was there. I don't know how to explain this next part. I wasn't sitting in the Blockbuster anymore. I wasn't even in my body. The video had somehow pulled me in. Like it was made for me. Like this was always the point. I was standing on the edge of the flesh wall room. I could feel heat, moist heat, radiating from the walls, like the whole place was alive. I looked down at my hands, and they were changing. My fingers were bending backward, skin bubbing, stretching, melting into something else. I looked up at Maddie, and she looked back at me. The mouth opened. The stitches tore open like wet paper, and she screamed, "You still smell like you," and the whole room burst into movement. Figures crawling out of holes in the walls, hands grabbing my arms, my neck, claws carving words into my chest. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. I could only feel them slicing, whispering, writing on me. They whispered things like, "You were born watched. Your soul is rented. You are what you eat. Now eat what you are." Then one of them held up a mirror. It wasn't me. It was him, the gas mask man. Only now, I was behind the mask, and I liked it. The next thing I remember, I woke up lying on the sticky floor of the Blockbuster. The VHS tape was gone, but my arms, they had cuts, fresh ones. Words carved deep into my skin with precision, with purpose. My left forearm said, "Day 401, prepare." My right said, "You'll feed her next." My phone was back on, battery full, one notification. It was a video. No sender, no number. I pressed play. It was Maddie again, sitting in a different room now, brighter. She was smiling. She leaned toward the camera and whispered, "The skin remembers. It's your turn to wear mine." Then the screen went black, and I swear I heard my own voice whisper from the speaker, "We're ready now." I can't explain what's happening. Not fully, but I know this. They don't want Maddie anymore. They want me. And maybe they want you too. Because the next notification I got was a Dropbox link. The Dropbox link didn't have a sender, no IP trace, no metadata, just a title, one file. Casting room, final move. I don't remember downloading it, but when I opened my laptop, it was already there, saved under a folder I never created, one called skimscript_proofs. And inside it, not just the video, photos, screenshots, surveillance of me in public, in bed, in the shower. There was a photo of me brushing my teeth that I had no memory of being taken. I was looking into the mirror, but the reflection in the glass wasn't mine. The man in the mirror had no face, just raw, red tissue, like skin had been freshly peeled off. I waited until it was pitch black outside to watch the file. Don't ask me why. Maybe I was hoping to match whatever rules they seemed to be playing by. Maybe I thought it would protect me. It didn't. I clicked play. The video didn't start like the others. This time, there were credits. Black screen, white text, old film grain overlay. A SkinScript original production, featuring subject number 48. Runtime until acceptance. Location, the casting room. Then it cut to a hallway. Dim, cold lighting. White tile floor smeared with what looked like dirty fingerprints and bloody boot tracks. Fluorescent lights above flickered in an unnatural rhythm, like they were breathing. Every fourth step, the light dimmed just a little more. At the end of the hallway stood a metal door, the kind you'd find in a meat processing facility. On it was a clipboard. The camera zoomed in. The paper read, "Casting call, seeking fresh skin. Ideal candidates, unstable, isolated. Current pick, you." The door unlatched by itself, and the camera went in. The casting room was worse than anything I've ever seen. No blood, no gore, not yet. Just silence and masks. Hanging from meat hooks, draped on mannequins, pinned to the walls like butterflies. All of them made from real human faces. I could see the pores, the old acne scars, even faint outlines of eyebrows. Every mask had eyes still in them. They were watching. They blinked, one by one. The camera slowly panned around the room, revealing different stations. A sewing table with mouths and jars, each one labeled with a name. A rack of clothing made from flesh, stitched into designer brands. Louis Vuitton, with veins. A Gucci belt with a human ear as the buckle. A wall where fingers had been nailed like crucifixions, some twitching, some blackened and dead. And then the music started. A warped version of a TikTok trending sound, that audio where people usually show off outfits and transitions, but it was slowed to a crawl, glitching, with reverse screams hidden under the beat. Then a spotlight flicked on, and I saw myself, standing in the center of the room, motionless, wearing a suit made of stitched-together skin. Some of the skin pieces had tattoos I recognized, Maddie's favorite band, my own grandfather's Navy symbol, even my childhood scar on the knee. This was me, built from everyone I had ever known, and in front of me, there was an operating table. On it was a figure, naked, twitching gad, tubes shoved into its limbs like straws, draining fluids into transparent buckets labeled fear, regret, will. The figure's eyes opened and locked onto the camera. It was Maddie, but something had changed. Her pupils weren't round anymore. They were spirals, constantly spinning, like she had seen something so deep, so below reality, that her eyes had rewritten themselves. She didn't cry. She laughed. She laughed like a child who had learned to enjoy their own pain. "You liked the audition, didn't you?" she whispered. "Well, they liked how long you watched." Then the screen shattered. Not glitched, shattered, like glass, like I was inside it. And when the camera came back on, I was no longer watching a video. I was inside the casting room, real, tangible. Every smell, every sound amplified. Rotting meat, salt, rust, hair burning somewhere nearby. I could feel the cold floor beneath my feet. I was barefoot. I looked down and saw that I was wearing the same suit of skin I'd seen in the video. I touched my face. It didn't feel like mine. Then Maddie walked out from the corner. Only, it wasn't her anymore. She was wearing a mask of me, my own face, smiling, loose, sagging, like it didn't quite fit. The mouth didn't move when she talked. "They don't want actors," she said. "They want castings. They want to record pain, and once they record it, it belongs to them." She handed me a script. My name was on the front. Every page was blank, except the last one. Scene 1, cut open. "Feed yourself. A clod." She pointed to the corner of the room. There was a rusty chair with cameras pointed at it from every angle. Spotlights. A director's chair in the shadows. The gas mask man was sitting in it, nodding. Behind him, a giant mirror. Only when I looked into it, I didn't see me. I saw you. Reading this, eyes wide, breathing shallow, trying to convince yourself this is just a story. It's not. I don't remember what happened after that. I woke up in my apartment again. But everything was wrong. The mirrors don't reflect me anymore. They show footage of rooms I've never been in. Maddie crawling on the ceiling, someone brushing my teeth with a knife, my body peeling, layer by layer, like an onion. Like they're trying to see what's underneath me. There was something on my laptop when I turned it on this morning. A new tab open. Skin script live. It wasn't there yesterday. It's not on Google. You can't search for it. It's just there. In the homepage, a live stream of me typing this. There's no moral to this story, no twist, no don't go into the dark web PSA that would make this a story, but it's not. It's a transmission. They don't care if you believe it. They just want you to see. Because the second you do, you become castable, and your skin, it remembers everything. I haven't slept in 6 days. That's not a metaphor or exaggeration, not a figure of speech. I have not closed my eyes without seeing something else open them back up for me. Every time I blink now, it's like someone else is blinking with me, inside me. The lines between what I am and what they made me are fading fast. My fingernails came off yesterday, not peeled, not torn, unscrewed. They twisted out of my fingers like bottle caps, one by one, while I stared into the bathroom mirror and watched my own reflection grin, even though my mouth wasn't moving. But we're past body horror now, aren't we? That was just the foreplay. This is the final part. The ritual has started, and I think, by the time you finish reading this, you'll hear it too. The last Dropbox link wasn't a file, it was a live stream, titled, "The Skin Ceremony. Welcome, subject number 49. The page was blank, white, pure, and then it started filling up with text, line by line. No sounds, no visuals, just a black cursor typing on its own, like a typewriter working from beyond the screen. Here's what it said. "You I were watched first at 4:09 a.m. The first time you said her name in a dream. They came through your walls, You didn't notice. You never do. Now you will be warned. Now you will be backed up. Now you will be warned. My phone vibrated. Once. No message. Just heat. I swear to God the screen was warm, pulsing, like skin. When I touched it, the camera turned on by itself, and I saw my face, lit up in red, but my eyes weren't there anymore. They were just sockets, dripping, melting, and behind me I could see the gas mask man's shadow getting closer. That's when the door opened. Not my room, not the apartment door. A door behind me that should not have existed. It was made of bone. The handle was a human jawbone, still twitching. On the other side, a hallway made entirely of human backs, spines twisting along the walls like roots, hair still growing out of the surfaces, mouths embedded in the ceiling, all whispering the same thing, over and over. You've already warned someone. You just forgot who. I stepped through. I didn't walk. I floated. My body wasn't mine anymore. I felt myself stretching, like my limbs were made of wet cloth. Every step felt like I was being filmed. The red light was back, only this time it was coming from inside me, through my skin, like there was a projector embedded in my bones. Then the hallway ended, and I saw the theater. Rows of seats, audience members with no faces, just smoothed over flesh where their features should have been. They weren't watching a stage, they were watching me. In front of them was a table, covered in scalpels, carving knives, surgical scissors, bone saws, all of them wrapped in wedding invitations, torn up birth certificates, old Polaroids. I picked up one of the knives, and it started playing music. My voice. A voicemail I left my dad before he died. I'll call you next week. He died that week. Then they handed me the script again. But this time, it was no longer blank. Each page was filled with moments from my life I didn't remember until I read them. Pushing a kid in 4th grade who hit his head and stopped talking for 3 years. Spitting in my mother's drink when I was mad at her for leaving my recital. Watching Maddie scream on a live stream and doing nothing. The last page said, "Time to make the mask." I don't want to describe what happened next, but I will, because you need to know what it costs, because I think you're next. I was forced to the floor, held down by hands that grew out of the floorboards, some of them children's, some calloused like construction workers, some long and skeletal, like they'd never belonged to anything human. The gas mask man stepped into the light. He reached into a bucket filled with what looked like thick white clay, only it moved. It twitched. He pulled out a face, not a mask, a full face, still soft, still warm. The eyes were closed. It was mine. He stretched it over my head like a hood. No cuts, no straps. It sealed to my flesh. I screamed so hard blood came out of my ears. Then I saw through my own face. Memories that weren't mine began flooding in. A family I never had, crying in a room I've never seen, a job I never worked, with co-workers dragging me into a back room and beating me until I bled, a dog I never owned biting my throat out, a girl with red eyes pulling her teeth out one by one while saying, "I'm still pretty, right?" None of these were mine, but they were inside my skin now. I had been casted. The audience stood up and began to clap. Their hands made no sound, because they had no hands, just flaps of skin that smacked together like raw chicken. The lights dimmed. A spotlight hit me, and on the wall behind me, a projector began playing a video. It was the same stream from SkinScript Live, my laptop screen. Only this time, I was reading this post aloud, not typing, reciting, word for word. When I woke up, it was 3:33 a.m. I was lying in a hospital hallway, but there were no nurses, no doctors. Every room was filled with rows of people wearing other people I recognized, somewhere in the way molding in flaws, but there were no evidence. One of them was Maddie. She waved at me, but it wasn't her wave, it was mine. I checked my phone. There was one notification, casting complete. Attached to it, a PDF, a new script, titled Subject Number 50, The Reader. Because if you've made it this far, it means you read every line, you digested every word. You let it sink into your skin. You let them fill in your eyes, and now they're going to wear you. Don't check your webcam. Don't listen too closely to the static in your phone. Don't look at the next mirror you pass, because when you do, you'll see it too. The black suit, the stitched-on face, the spiraled pupils, the director's chair behind you, empty, waiting. Welcome to Skin Script. You're in the casting room now. And the worst part is, you already knew your role. You've just been reading the lines. I found a dark web red room that let viewers control the lights. The victim begged me not to press anything. How I got there. Posted by u/Midnight Snacks for Life 3 weeks ago. r/no sleep. Okay, so before I even start, let me just say, I'm not proud of this. I'm not trying to get clout, sympathy, or whatever. I honestly just need to get it out of my head. It's been 3 weeks since it happened, and I swear I haven't slept properly since. I feel watched every time I turn off the lights. I see things and reflections that shouldn't be there, and I keep hearing, crying, even when I'm alone. Anyway, here's what happened. I'm 19. I live in a small apartment just outside Chicago. I work part-time at a pizza place, and when I'm not working, I'm either scrolling through Reddit, playing Valorant with my boys, or watching creepy analog horror stuff on YouTube. Yeah, channels like Gemini Home Entertainment, Local 58, or the Here's My Story animations. I've always been obsessed with internet horror, like, not the paranormal kind, but the really grounded, disturbing type. The type that feels like it could happen to anyone. Father, parents of spiritual sentiments, have some duty to emotions on mine. So when my friend Jay told me about this dark web game he heard about on a random Discord server, I thought it was BS. He said it was called The Lamproo. Supposedly, it was a live stream that popped up occasionally on the deep web, and it let viewers control what happens inside the room, including the lights, temperature, and sometimes, if you paid in crypto, even the tools. Like I said, I thought it was just Reddit urban legend creepypasta stuff, until I found it. I wasn't even trying to go looking for it, honestly. One night I was just bored out of my mind. It was like 2:30 a.m. I had just gotten off a long Valorant match, and I couldn't sleep, so I did what any sleep-deprived moron with an overactive curiosity would do. I fired up Tor and started browsing random links. I started off just hitting those usual directories, hidden wiki, bunch of onion links, most of them broken or scams. I wasn't gonna buy anything illegal, I swear, just exploring, like internet urban exploration. There's something weirdly exciting about clicking through all this off-the-grid stuff, even if 90% of it is nonsense. That's when I saw it, a black page. Just a single red lamp icon in the middle. No text, no trackers that I could detect. I 1.7 to my phone. I bring websites. When I hovered over the lamp, my cursor changed to a hand. I clicked. The screen went black. Then, a loading bar. White text appeared. Welcome to the lamp room. Remember, your choices matter. I should have clicked away. I should have closed my laptop, cleared my cache, turned off the Wi-Fi and gone to bed. But I didn't. Instead, I adjusted my headphones, sat back, and watched the stream load. It was just a room. A dimly lit, concrete room. Gray walls, single chair in the middle, one red industrial lamp hanging from the ceiling like something out of Saw or Hostel. The kind of thing that gives you a headache just looking at it. The camera was in the corner of the ceiling, angled down toward the chair. There was a man sitting in it. At first, I thought he was a mannequin or something. He wasn't moving. He was slumped over, arms zip-tied behind the chair, head drooped forward. He had short brown hair, a white undershirt stained with something dark, blood, probably, and jeans. I blinked a few times. This had to be fake, some twisted art project or ARG. Then the man looked up, straight into the camera, into me. His eyes were bloodshot. His mouth moved, barely, and even though there was no audio, I swear on everything, I could read his lips. Don't press anything. That's when the screen changed. The UI appeared. Simple white buttons popped up on the side of the stream. Turn lamp off, turn lamp on, dim to 50%, play white noise, change to green light, raise temperature, lower temperature. Unlock tools, L0015BTC. That last one made my stomach turn. I was shaking, dude. I didn't know if this was just really good horror fiction, or if I had just stepped into some real dark web snuff content. But here's the part that really messed me up. Below the buttons was a chat. Not a big one, just maybe 5 or 6 people, but they were real-time typing. User 3245, turn it off again. I want to see him cry. Ghoul puppy. Oh, make it green. Looks sicker. Paulo inside 77 waiting for someone to unlock tools. Plummy peepery. He's been here since Tuesday. LMAO. Visage 404. I saw the last one. This one's way more scared. I watched, frozen, as someone pressed dim to 50%. The lamp flickered. The man flinched, like a dog expecting to be hit. Then someone else clicked play white noise. The speakers crackled. A high-pitched hiss filled the room. I couldn't hear it, but I could see the man's face twitch. His whole body tensed. I wanted to close the browser. I really did, but I couldn't move. I was like frozen in my chair, sweat dripping down my back. I don't even know why I was still watching. Curiosity? Horror? Guilt? That's when the worst part happened. The man looked at me again, actually looked, like he knew who I was, like he saw me through the screen. He started crying, like real crying, silent, hopeless sobs. He mouthed something again, over and over. Don't press anything. Then someone in chat said, Hollow inside 77 night snacks, 4 life snacks, 4 life. Your turn. That was my username, my Reddit username. I haven't typed it, I haven't logged into anything, yet somehow they knew. And then a new button appeared at the bottom of the stream. Take control. 15 seconds. The countdown started. 15, 14, 13. My mouse hovered over it without me even moving it. I swear to God, I wasn't touching the mouse pad. It was just sliding. I reached to grab it, to move it away, but my screen glitched. For half a second, the stream blinked, and instead of the man in the chair, it was me. In my bedroom, same hoodie, same posters on the wall, same room layout. Then, back to the man. Countdown, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, and then I had control. I don't think my hands were even mine anymore. The screen flashed. You have control for 15 seconds. There was no sound, but I swear I could hear something in my apartment. The faint hum of electricity, like my laptop was breathing. The buttons lit up on screen. Turn lamp off, turn lamp on, dim to 10%. Strobe effect, photosensitive warning. Play screech sound, temperature plus 10 degrees C, temperature minus 10 degrees C. Random tool drop, 0.003 BTC. Execute motion script A. That last one made me pause. Motion script. What the hell does that even mean? The timer ticked. 13, 12. My cursor hovered over play screech sound. I didn't click it. It did. I'm not kidding when I say the button pressed itself. The stream jumped, and the man in the chair jolted violently, head snapping up so fast I thought he broke his own neck. His mouth opened like he was screaming so loud it shattered something in his throat. No sound, just the flashing red light and his face twisted in a noise I could feel in my bones. He shook like he was having a seizure, legs trembling, shoulders convulsing against the zip ties. Blood started dripping from his nose, then his ears. Like the sound, whatever it was rupturing him from the inside out. 9 to 8. I was shaking so bad I nearly knocked my monster can off my desk. I reached to close the laptop, but the trackpad moved again, this time to temperature negative 10 degrees C. Click. The stream flickered. The air inside the room fogged up, like a freezer door had just opened. You could see the man's breath suddenly go sharp, cloudy. His skin turned pale, almost purple. His toes curled so violently I thought they snapped backwards. His lips moved again. Please, stop. 5, 4. Another button lit up on its own. Execute motion script A. The man's chair suddenly moved. I don't know how to describe it. Like it was connected to something mechanical under the floor. It slowly rotated 180 degrees, facing a wall I hadn't seen before, covered in crude drawings. Childlike sketches in black crayon, stick figures being torn apart, people hanging upside down, heads melting like candles. Then from the ceiling, a panel opened. Something dropped. It wasn't a tool, it wasn't a weapon. It was a mirror. A long, full-length hospital-grade mirror, like something from a psych ward. The chair stopped, and now he was staring at his own reflection. He didn't scream, he just cried harder. That's when I realized he couldn't recognize himself. His skin looked melted, not literally, but like his face was sagging, like every muscle had given up. One eye was swollen shut, his mouth hung open, jaw dislocated, tongue twitching like a broken worm. It was like he didn't know who he was anymore. He looked into that mirror like he was watching himself die in real time. 0, control released. And then the chat lit up again, and Hello Inside 77? Yo, that script still works. User 3245, LMAO. Look at his face, visage 404. Bet he won't last another day. Plumuppy Ray. Midnight Snacks for Life got a new badge. Ghoul Poppy, more BTC if you want the real scripts, bro. Badge? I refreshed the page. A small gold icon had appeared next to my username in the chat. Initiated. I felt sick, like actually sick. My stomach flipped and I barely made it to the bathroom in time. I threw up in the sink. Not even from gore or anything. It was from this vibe, like something had reached through the screen and infected my brain. I went back to the laptop. The stream had ended, not frozen, not buffering, just ended. Black screen. Red lamp icon again. I shut everything down. Tor browser, system processes, even opened Task Manager to make sure nothing weird was running. I reset my IP, cleared DNS cache, everything. Then I unplugged my router for good measure. I didn't sleep that night, or the night after. But the third night was when things started getting wrong. I was coming back from a Starbucks on Clark Street. Just grabbed a drink to help me stay up to write a paper for my online college class, which I never ended up doing because my brain has been fried ever since all this happened. It was around 8:30 p.m., still light out. Totally normal Chicago summer night. Until I passed the alley behind the 7-Eleven. There was something in there. Someone. Just standing in the middle of the alley, not moving. Hood up. Hands in pockets, facing me. I stopped walking. At first I thought it was just a guy waiting for a ride or something. But then, he tilted his head, exactly like the man in the chair. Just that same doped, broken neck tilt. I walked faster. I didn't look back until I got to my building, and when I finally turned, it was gone. Next morning, I had an email in my school inbox. Not Gmail, my student portal. No subject, no sender. Just a single link, onion. And a message. You're still in control. Finish what you started. I didn't click it. I swear I didn't. But that night, 2:45 a.m., my laptop turned on by itself. I woke up to the fan whirring and the glow of the screen hitting the ceiling. When I looked, the same red lamp icon was there. No browser open, just the icon. As if it was its own application. I couldn't move. No sleep paralysis, no dream. I was awake, but my arms felt wrong. Like my joints weren't connected right anymore. Like I was in that chair, and then the screen flicked on. This time, there were 2 chairs. One was empty. The other had a new victim. Not the guy from before. This was a woman, maybe mid-20s. Long black hair, hoodie, skinny. Her head was slumped like the guy's was. Like her soul had been squeezed out. And then I saw it, the second chair. Looked exactly like mine. Same scuff marks in the metal. Same tiny tear on the corner of the seat cushion. Same white paint chip on the leg. It was mine. The red lamp buzzed. Then the screen flashed. Round 2, you've earned full control. And one final prompt. Audio input enabled. My laptop microphone was on, and the girl in the chair, she looked up. Slowly. Her lip was split open. Her left eye was swollen shut. She whispered, "Please, I know you can hear me, whoever you are. Don't speak. If you speak, it gets worse." My phone buzzed. I looked down. Unknown number. Say something. I threw the phone across the room, and that's when it happened. She started screaming. Screaming my name, not my Reddit name, my real name. Ethan. Please, don't speak, please. The feed cut. Black screen. Silence. Just my own breath. Shallow, uneven, broken. And then, from behind me, the soft click of a light bulb turning on. I turned around. Every lamp in my apartment was glowing red. My entire apartment turned red. Not just the lamps, not just the ceiling lights. My monitor, my smart TV, my iPhone screen. Even the little LED on my router blinked a slow rhythmic red, like a heartbeat, like it was breathing. My room was bleeding light. It wasn't a glitch. It wasn't just some red filter. Every digital screen, every light source was synchronized, pulsing, slow, measured, like a countdown I couldn't see. I couldn't move. Not out of fear, not yet. I literally couldn't move. My legs had gone completely numb, as if I'd been sitting on them for hours, but I hadn't. I'd only been awake for a few minutes when the light came on. My arms felt hollow, like filled with something that wasn't blood anymore. My neck ached as if a cord was being pulled from behind, holding my head up like a puppet. Then the sound started. A low tone, like the world's largest refrigerator humming a few feet from your skull. It wasn't coming from my speakers, it was vibrating inside my jaw. That was when my laptop lit back up. No browser, no programs. Just a black screen with white text. You failed to remain silent, and beneath it, the session continues. My webcam clicked. I heard it click. The tiny green light turned on. My screen switched to a new view. Not a live stream this time. Not someone in a room. It was me, sitting at my desk, staring into the screen. But here's the part that shouldn't be possible. In the reflection on the laptop screen behind me was the girl from before, standing right behind me, head down, hair matted to her face, soaked in blood, or sweat, or both. Hands twitching at her sides like marionette strings were tangled around her bones. I spun in my chair so fast I almost dislocated something. Nothing. Nobody was there. Just my bed, my cracked closet mirror, my barely finished Gatorade bottle on the floor. But then my laptop screen glitched again, and this time, the room shown wasn't mine anymore. It was darker, slimier. The walls were the same gray concrete, but now there were black water stains running from ceiling to floor, like something had been crawling along them. The red lamp was still there, hanging low, lower than before. 2 chairs again, one empty, one full. Not the same girl from before, someone else, younger, a kid. Couldn't have been older than 12, dark skin, buzz cut, shaking uncontrollably, like he was freezing to death. No shoes, no shirt, just jeans and a bandage around his chest that had turned yellow from rot. His eyes were rolled back into his head like he hadn't slept in weeks. I felt it again, that force, dragging my cursor across the screen, opening a new interface. This time it was worse. The UI had changed. The buttons weren't cute little labels anymore. They were detailed, grimy, industrial, and violent. Eliminate fully, temporary relief. Activate cage rattle, release crow sounds, begin drill noise, trigger emotional playback, random, deploy mother soundtrack, lower chair by 3 meters, send real-time message, BTC verified. Mirror feed enabled, permanent. The last one had a skull icon next to it. Chat opened up again. A flood of users this time. Not 5 or 6, not a dozen. Hundreds. Scrolling too fast to read. It felt like a Twitch chat during a Mr. Beast stream, but filled with usernames like Torguts, Skinwatch88, Nullchild, and Toothpaste Soldier. Some were even posting in different languages. Russian, Korean, Arabic, stuff I couldn't recognize. But one message stood out. Not because it was scary, not because it was long, but because it was my name again. Ethan, make the chair drop. Let him see it. My fingers moved. I wasn't controlling them. I don't know how to explain it. Like when you wake up from sleepwalking and you've already put your shoes on. I wasn't dreaming. I was watching my body act on its own, muscle memory that wasn't mine. I clicked lower chair by 3 meters. There was no transition, just a hard snap in the video feed, and now the kid was suspended above a black pit. A massive circular hole beneath him, with mist or smoke creeping up from the void. The chair slowly descended. The red light flickered in spirals. The lower it got, the darker it became. I couldn't see the floor, and I think he couldn't either. Because he started thrashing, not screaming, wailing, like an animal, like a pig about to be slaughtered. His voice cracked, his spine arched backward, so hard that his chest bandage split open, revealing something underneath. It wasn't an injury. It was a tattoo, crude, jagged, carved into his flesh. It said, "Property of Session 44A." My cursor locked again. Now the M-Mirror feed button glowed, and something new popped up beneath it. Enable reflection echo. Warning, irreversible. I didn't touch it. The chat exploded. "Do it, Ethan. Full mirror now. Wow. We need echo. 44A never ends. You're part of it too. They're waiting on you, Ethan." I looked at my reflection in the laptop again. It was delayed. A half second behind, then a full second. Then it didn't match me at all. My face in the reflection was smiling, wide, teeth bared, grinning ear to ear like a clown without makeup. Then it whispered, not out loud, inside my head, "He's not the victim, you are." Then it started laughing, a broken digital laugh, like the sound a dial-up modem would make if it learned to hate you. It kept warping, bending, like the pixels were dying on screen. Suddenly the stream shut off, and my screen turned to a countdown, white text, red background. "Mirror Echo, deploying in 48 hours. Then a message at the bottom. "Keep your lights on. We're coming through." That was 5 hours ago. It's 4:11 a.m. now. My bathroom mirror is covered with towels. My TV's unplugged. My laptop is in the bathtub with the battery ripped out. But none of it matters. The red light is still on in the hallway, the one I never installed, and I can hear breathing from the other side of the mirror in my bedroom. Not mine, not human. It sounds wet and rhythmic, like lungs that haven't breathed in years finally remembered how. I'm scared to sleep, not because of dreams, but because I think that when I close my eyes, I'll be back in the room. And this time, I'll be in the other chair. I haven't left my apartment in 3 days, not because I don't want to, but because every time I reach for the door, the knob twists on its own. Like someone's already on the other side, waiting for me to turn it first. I know that sounds crazy. I know how it sounds. I've tried calling the cops, texting friends, smashing every piece of tech I have, but none of it matters. The red lamp in my hallway stays on, even when the power's cut, even when I screw the bulb out. It's still there, glowing from inside the socket like it's part of my building now, like it's inside the walls. But it's not the light that's driving me insane. It's the whispers. The girl from the chair, the one who screamed my name, she doesn't leave my head anymore. She doesn't talk. She doesn't cry. She just breathes. In slow, wet gasps, like lungs learning to move again. Sometimes it sounds like she's behind my bathroom mirror. Sometimes it's from the phone, even when it's powered off. Sometimes it's in my voice. I'll open my mouth to scream, and stay past the party, and stay sad. After the countdown appeared on my laptop, Mirror Echo, deploying in 48 hours, everything spiraled. I tried sleeping in the bathtub. No mirrors, no windows. Wrapped in a wet towel to muffle sound. I duct taped my phone to the inside of the toilet tank, so I couldn't hear it. It didn't matter. I still woke up at 2:44 a.m., heart racing. Same time every night. Because at 2:45, the red light outside my room would buzz, and the session would begin again. But this time, I wasn't watching a stream. I was in it, and it didn't feel like a dream. It started in pitch black. No UI, no buttons, no chat room. Just the sound of water, dripping. Somewhere nearby, something was dripping. Then the light flicked on, dim red. I was back in the room, but this time, the air was wet, like breathing through a sponge. I couldn't move my arms, couldn't feel my legs. My head was slumped forward, chin on my chest. I looked down, zip ties, hands bound, ankles cinched to the legs of a cold steel chair. The same chair I saw in every stream. The same red lamp above me, swinging just enough to make shadows shift like they were watching. But the worst part, the mirror. It was right in front of me, and I could see myself. Except, it wasn't me, not completely. My mouth had been stitched shut. Thick, medical thread looped through my lips in crude crosses. My cheeks were bruised, swollen. My eyelids felt stapled open. Blood had dried in the corners of my eyes. I could feel it flaking every time I blinked. Then, something behind the mirror began to move. The glass was two-way, and I wasn't alone. A figure approached the other side of the mirror, but the light behind it was white, flickering, fluorescent like a hospital corridor. Its outline was impossible. Limbs too long, fingers scraping the floor as it walked, face stretched wide, like it had too many teeth and not enough skin to cover them. But what made me want to rip my own eyes out was the camera. It had a camera where its eye should be, a cracked, flickering lens embedded in the left socket. Wires dangled from the jaw like nerves. It stared through the mirror. At me. Then it spoke, but not with a voice, with audio clips. My voice, from my own life. It played me. Yo, bro, I'm just messing around with the dark web. Ha, no, I haven't bought anything illegal, yet. It's just a live stream. I'm not really doing anything. It's not real. None of it's real. Each sentence echoed from a rusted speaker above the lamp. I could hear the sarcasm in my tone. It was mocking me, with my own denial. Then the room changed again. The mirror flickered and transformed into a screen, and I was watching again. But now, the screen didn't show the room. It showed a list. Sessions. Each session was labeled by date and title. Session 17, Father doesn't blink anymore. Session 29, she asked to remember, so we took it. Session 36, please stop showing me my teeth. Session 44, hey, you are here. Session 45, we found one in the wall. Upcoming. I scrolled even though I didn't have a mouse. My vision was the cursor now. Then something opened behind me, a door. But it didn't lead out. It led deeper in. I was suddenly in another room, one that was never shown on the stream. I call it the viewer's nest. It was massive. Hundreds, maybe thousands, of screens hung from the walls, like insect eggs pulsating with color. Each screen showed a different room, a different victim. Some were children, some were old, some were still alive. And behind each screen was a viewer. They weren't human, not really. Their eyes were replaced with keypads. Some typed with their tongues. Some scratched at their screens with bloody stumps. One had no arms, but still managed to tap out commands with their forehead against a cracked tablet. And every time they hit enter, a victim screamed. That's when I realized something so much worse. They weren't watching. They were programming. I was one of them. I looked down at my own hands. They were fused to a controller. Melted, like my skin had been poured onto the plastic. The buttons under my fingers were labels. Dismember memory, play mother's voice, insert false scene, extract dream file, rotate eye socket, feed self to self. I slammed my eyes shut. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to see it anymore. But behind my eyelids, the mirror was still on, and the girl I had seen in the earlier session, she was now standing behind me. Not in the reflection, in the room, face hanging open, eyes weeping, cheeks cracked from too many screams. She leaned in close, lips brushing my ear, and she said something I will never forget. You were never watching. You were training. For session 45, your seat is already worn. I woke up in my bed, soaked in blood, but it wasn't mine. On the wall above my bed was a message, scrawled in what looked like fingernail scratches. You can still stop it. You're not watch session 45. But the stream is live now. Started 10 minutes ago, and it's showing my apartment. Empty chair. Red lamp. Same angle. There's a timer above it. Session 45 begins in 00:03:41, and someone is knocking at the door, but the doorbell doesn't ring. Instead, my laptop turns back on. and a new button appears. Open door, begin final stream. 00:03:41. The countdown was still ticking. I didn't move. I couldn't. There was no chair left in my apartment, at least not one I remembered. But the stream showed it, perfectly placed in the center of my room, under that red lamp that shouldn't exist, swinging just slightly, like it was laughing. Like it knew what was coming. The button on my laptop flickered. Open door. Begin final stream. The knock came again, not loud, not even aggressive, just a slow, methodical knock. 3 times. Waited 10 seconds. 3 again, like a code, like someone was following instructions. My phone vibrated on the floor, screen cracked, battery on 2%. Still working. A message, unknown number. They're already in. The knocking is a formality. My vision blurred. I didn't remember standing. I didn't remember walking to the door. But when I blinked again, my hand was on the knob. I was inside the stream. Whether I clicked the button or not, I was in it now. As I opened the door, my apartment vanished, replaced by pure, choking darkness, like walking into the back of your own eyelids. But I could still hear things, squelching, dragging, mouths opening and closing with no breath, metal groaning like flesh had been grafted to the walls. And beneath it all, laughter. Not loud, not human, just soft, rhythmic, wet laughter, coming from behind mirrors that weren't there before. I kept walking forward, until I saw the chair, lit by a single red lamp from above. It was waiting, not for someone, for me. The walls were concrete, like the room I'd seen in every stream, only worse, like it had grown over time. There were marks on the walls that looked like they'd been scratched by teeth. Entire chunks of the floor looked chewed. The air smelled like copper, mildew, and burned plastic. The chair pulsed, like it was alive. I tried to turn around. I tried to run. But the room shifted again, walls folding over themselves, twisting into a new hallway, mirrors appearing on either side. And that's when I saw them. The viewers, not behind screens anymore, here, in the flesh, or what was left of it. Long, gaunt bodies, sewn together in spirals, tangled in IV tubes and twisted cable. Some didn't have faces, just projector lenses beaming distorted footage of other people onto their blank heads. Others had screens for stomachs, playing my memories, my first birthday, my 8th grade graduation, the day I downloaded the Tor browser, the moment I clicked that first lamp icon. I screamed. One of them reached out. Long, crooked fingers dragging across my cheek, like it was reading my skin. It whispered something I'll never forget. You fed us. You nurtured us. You gave us the child. You gave us the girl. Now, we return the gift. I don't know what they meant, until they opened the final door. I saw myself, sitting in the chair, eyes sewn open, mouth sealed shut, pale, dying. Not yet dead. My own voice echoed around the room in a loop, corrupted and broken, repeating a single sentence. Please, please, I didn't mean to press anything. Please, please, I didn't mean to press anything. The chair me looked at real me. What is the word? I wish. And mouthed 2 words. Kill me. Before I could even react, the walls cracked open. A third version of me stepped out. This one wasn't right. Taller, cleaner, wearing my clothes, but perfectly arranged. No sweat, no fear, smiling. The perfect me. He looked at both of us, the one in the chair and the real me. Then, without a word, he reached behind the red lamp and pulled a lever. The sound that followed wasn't human. It was like reality cracking. The walls shook. Blood leaked from the mirrors. My ears started bleeding. The stream flickered back on the mirrors, on my skin, on the air itself. Thousands were watching. The chat flew by. Session 45 complete. 3 instances. 1 must remain. Only 1 gets to leave. The chair started shaking. Chains wrapped around my ankles. Needles rose from the floor like teeth. I was being offered a choice. A final UI appeared in front of me, projected in blood on the mirror. Remain in the chair, replace victim. Destroy the mirror, collapse echo, become a viewer, witness eternity. Each option pulsated. Each one promised something worse than death. And that's when the girl appeared again, not in the room, inside me. She had climbed through the echo, through my brain, through my spine. I could feel her in my mouth, tugging on my vocal cords like puppet strings. And she whispered, "The stream never ends. The chair is passed. The viewers are chosen." But the mirror breaks everything. I moved. I lifted the chair version of me, dragged him to the mirror. He sobbed without sound. I threw him into the glass. It cracked, but didn't break. Not until I screamed, louder than I ever have in my life. Not out of fear, but rage, because I let it happen, because I watched, because I pressed the button, and the mirror shattered. I woke up in a hospital. No one could tell me how I got there. My fingernails were gone, burns down arms, stitches around my mouth like someone tried to sew it shut but gave up halfway. No ID, no phone, no wallet. Just a note in my hospital gown pocket. Written in blood, "You broke the echo, but the viewers never forget. Session 46 begins soon. Keep your lights on." That was 3 months ago. Every night since, I've heard knocking 3 times. Pause. 3 again. Every screen in my house stays off. Every mirror is shattered. I sleep on the floor, under blackout blankets. But tonight, I saw something I can't explain. In the reflection of a puddle outside my window, a chair, a red lamp, and a new stream title. Session 46, The One Who Watched. And underneath, status, stream pending approval. Viewers awaiting entry, 2039. First command, ready, light control enabled. You may now press something. The Ouija board spelled out A, and on Onion dark web link, it opened to a red room already streaming. Okay, so this all started as a joke. I'm not a superstitious person, never believed in ghosts, demons, or anything like that. But a few weeks ago, I ended up at this sleepover at my friend Eli's house. He's one of those guys who's always trying to one-up everyone when it comes to doing crazy stuff. Like, he's the type to eat expired food just for views, or sneak into abandoned malls for TikTok clout. Anyway, it was me, Eli, his cousin Jesse, and this kid Ian from school we barely knew. It was one of those regular summer nights in August. Everyone just got back from vacations and stuff, and no one had school yet, so it was the perfect time to just chill. We were watching movies, scrolling through TikTok, eating McDonald's, the usual. Somewhere around 2:30 a.m., Eli goes, "Yo, let's do something actually scary." I laughed. What, like a ghost hunt or some stupid app that makes your phone look haunted? "No, dude," he says. "I found a Ouija board in my grandma's attic last week. Legit wooden one, like the old school Parker Brothers type. Still got the planchette and everything." Jessie was already shaking her head. "Dude, no way. That's how demons get in or whatever." Which, looking back, might have been the smartest thing anyone said that night. But of course, we're all like, "Come on, it's just a game." And Eli sets it up in his basement. Lights off, candles lit. We even played creepy ambient music from YouTube on a speaker, like that rain thunder loop with piano that people use in horror TikToks. Now, I've done a Ouija board before. Usually nothing happens. Maybe the planchette moves a little because someone's pushing it without admitting it. But this time, it felt off right from the start. We started with the usual questions. Is anyone here? What's your name? How did you die? The planchette didn't move at first. Then all of a sudden it jerked to yes. We all looked at each other like, okay, who's doing this? It spelled out the name Mira. None of us recognized it. We thought maybe it was just some weird ghost roleplay thing. Jesse asked, "Where are you from?" And the planchette didn't move for like 10 seconds. Then slowly spelled out dar.webUWB. We all went quiet. Ian kind of laughed nervously. That doesn't even make sense. Like, how does a ghost use the internet? Eli was totally into it. Ask it something else. Ask it for proof or something. So I asked, "What do you want to show us?" The planchette immediately began spelling, faster this time, like whatever was answering couldn't wait. www. At this point I was already getting chills. It kept going, XXXFEASTROON. I had no idea what that even was. Jesse asked if it was a link, and that's when it hit us. It was a dark web address, like an actual onion URL, not something you'd ever seen in a normal browser. We all looked at each other again. No one was smiling anymore. I told Eli we shouldn't open it, but of course, he already had Tor browser installed on his old laptop. He's one of those Reddit guys who's obsessed with ARGs and internet mysteries. I swear to God, I remember him saying, "It's probably fake, but what if it's like a puzzle or a game?" The second he pasted the link and hit enter, the room got dead silent. It didn't even load like a normal site. No logo, no header, no text. Just a black screen. Then after like 5 seconds, a video feed popped up. It was already playing, live, full screen. At first it looked like a regular room, red walls, single chair, no windows. Kind of like a room in one of those cheap basement escape rooms people rent for birthdays. There was a camera pointed at the center of the room. No sound, just static humming from the speakers. Then, a person walked in. Or, I think it was a person. They had this mask on, not like a ski mask or anything. This was like a full white porcelain mask, blank expression, black holes for eyes. They were wearing a red hoodie, gloves, and like a butcher's apron. I'm not even kidding. They stood behind the chair, looked right into the camera, and held up a sign. It said, "Hello Eli." Dead silence. He slammed the laptop shut. I wanted to throw up. Jesse started crying. None of us had told the board any of our names. Not out loud, anyway. We tried to laugh it off, like maybe it was a prank site that just guesses your name from IP tracking or something. But the laptop wasn't connected to the Wi-Fi. Tor runs on separate relays. That's the whole point. It's anonymous. Ian grabbed his backpack and said he was going home. And honestly, I don't blame him. We didn't sleep that night. None of us did. Jesse wouldn't even go to the bathroom alone. And that would have been it. Just a creepy night and a story to laugh about, if not for what happened the next morning. When Eli opened his phone, he had a notification from Instagram. It was a new account. No followers, no profile picture, just a DM request. One video. Just one. It was grainy, low res, but the thumbnail was clear as day. The red room. Same camera angle, same chair. But this time, there was someone sitting in it. They had a bag over their head. They were tied down, and they were wearing Eli's hoodie. I don't really know how to say this without sounding like I've completely lost my mind, but this isn't a story. It's not a creepypasta, and it's definitely not some Reddit karma form. I wish it was. I wish I could close my eyes and wake up in my bed, like this was some messed up dream. But the thing is, I haven't really slept in days, and it all started that morning after we shut the laptop. The next day, Eli showed us the DM on Instagram, the one with the video of the red room. I should have stopped watching when I saw the hoodie, but I couldn't look away. It was one of those 480p security cam style videos, but the thing that stood out most wasn't the low quality. It was the way the camera slightly shook, like someone was holding it just off screen. Someone was there, recording. The person in the chair was tied down with zip ties. You could hear them breathing through the bag over their head, fast and panicked, like they were hyperventilating. And even though we couldn't see their face, I swear on everything, I knew it was Eli. The build, the same wristband he always wears, the same tear on the sleeve of that hoodie from when he wiped out on his skateboard last summer. But the part that makes me want to puke just writing this, it wasn't recorded footage. It was a live stream. We didn't notice it at first, but in the corner of the screen, in faded red numbers, was a real-time viewer count. 1 watching now. It was us. Eli dropped the phone and started screaming. Not like "what the hell is going on" type screaming, more like the primo wounded -animal kind. I've never heard someone cry and scream at the same time like that before. Jessie started pacing and pulling out her hair. Ian wasn't even blinking, just staring at the wall, silent, like he'd been unplugged. I told them we needed to go to the police. Immediately. Eli was already yelling, "Burn the board." Burn the fucking board. But when we got upstairs, this is when things went from terrifying to completely wrong. Eli's mom was gone. She'd left for work that morning, apparently, but her car was still in the driveway. Coffee on the table, phone still charging on the kitchen counter, but she was gone. We checked every room, every closet, every cabinet. There was no one. Then, Eli noticed the basement door was slightly open, and there were wet footprints on the stairs, barefoot, like someone had walked up from a flooded basement, except we hadn't gone back down there since the night before. Eli pulled out a metal baseball bat and told us to stay behind him. We went down slowly. The Ouija board was still on the table, but the planchette wasn't. It was now embedded into the wall, like someone had slammed it like a knife. Splinters everywhere, and on the concrete floor were handprints. Not like someone had touched the floor, I mean actual handprints. Pale, human-shaped hands pressed upward from beneath the floor. The concrete had bulged up, cracked in a perfect five-finger pattern, like something had tried to crawl up and got stuck. That's when the smell hit us. Not like sewage, not like mold. Worse, it smelled like meat, like warm, rotting meat left out in the sun. And there were flies, so many far-on flies, buzzing under the floorboards like a dying motor. Ian bolted out the door, gagging. Jesse started crying again. Eli didn't move, just stared at the wall, completely dead-eyed. Then something happened that I still can't explain. The Livestream video on Eli's phone, it changed. Now it was showing our basement. The same camera angle, same view, and something was crawling into frame. Not walking, crawling. It had that same red hoodie, but now it was drenched, soaked in something black and thick that dripped down its arms and pooled onto the concrete. Its head was twitching like something was broken inside its neck. You ever see those old Japanese horror movies where people move in those fast, jittery frames? It was exactly like that. And even worse, behind it was a shadow. Not like a person's shadow. This one moved independently. It pulsed and twisted like it was alive. It wasn't connected to anything. The thing crawled toward the camera, and then it stopped and slowly raised its head. It had no face, no mask this time, just smooth skin where a face should be, almost like melted wax, except where the eyes should have been, two black holes, deep, like they were still bleeding. Then the screen cut to static. We ran out of that house like it was on fire. Ian said he wasn't going to be involved anymore, that he didn't care what we found or what we thought we'd seen. He Ubered home and blocked us all on everything. Instagram, TikTok, even Snap. Just like that, gone. We tried to go to the police station, but something even more messed up happened there. While we were talking to the officer, Eli handed over his phone to show the video. But his phone wiped. Completely reset to factory settings. No photos, no apps, nothing in the cloud. Even the IMEI number was gone. They accused us of fabricating everything. Said it was a prank, or maybe internet-induced hysteria, whatever that means. We were literally laughed out of the building. Jesse begged them to come check the house, but of course, they sent a squad car and found nothing unusual. Then, that night, I got a DM. Same anonymous account. Still no followers. The video this time, it was from inside my room. You could tell from the bedspread and the LED lights I had on my wall, the ones that change color with a remote. In the video, the lights were on, red, and someone was standing over my bed, holding the Ouija board in their hands. No caption, just the video. I didn't sleep. I didn't even go back in that room. I slept in my car that night. Jesse texted me around 3:48 a.m. All it said was, "I saw something in the mirror. It had your face." Then she stopped responding. When I drove to her place the next morning, her window was open. Her bedroom was freezing cold. And in the middle of her bed was the planchette. Just the planchette. And it had been snapped in half. The rest of the house looked untouched, but there was something written in red on her mirror. Feed the room. And now, no matter what I do, no matter where I go, the live stream keeps following me. New links show up in random messages. in old Reddit threads, hidden in the code of YouTube videos. I even found one embedded in the source code of a Discord bot. Every time I click them, it's the same stream. The room, the chair, the blood, the figure, and now more people. More chairs, more screaming, and here's the worst part. Last night, while walking past a strip mall, I passed a dark-closed Starbucks with tinted windows. It was around 2:15 a.m., and in the reflection of the glass, behind me, the red room was there. Reflected, like it was on the other side, and someone was waving at me. I haven't even told you what we found inside Eli's camera roll when we extracted deleted files, or why Jesse's mirror didn't reflect her at all the night she vanished. If I'm still here tomorrow, I'll keep going. But I think whatever this thing is, it's getting closer. And I think it wants me next. There are moments you can't come back from. Things you see that don't just stick with you. They change you. Twist you. I don't know what's real anymore. I don't know if I'm even real anymore. What happened after Jesse disappeared wasn't the kind of thing that you can post about online and have people say, "Damn bro, that's wild," and move on. I'm talking about stuff that makes people go silent when you try to tell them. Stuff that doesn't even feel legal to talk about. This part starts 4 days after Jessie went missing, and I mean completely missing. Police said she probably ran away, that she was under stress, but I knew that was bullshit. You don't leave your favorite hoodie, your cat, their phone, and an uneaten McDouble on your desk if you're planning to disappear. Especially not with your mirror covered in handwritten blood and a broken Ouija planchette on your bed. But whatever, they didn't believe us, so we did what no one ever should. We tried to get answers ourselves. Eli had a backup hard drive, a 2 terabyte blocky old thing he barely used. And he remembered that his phone was set to automatically sync photos when connected to it via USB. He'd only ever backed up files once, a couple of weeks ago. Long before the live stream started, we were in his garage, parked in his dad's old Honda with the laptop hooked up to the drive. The garage door was locked, the lights were off. We didn't want to take any chances with Windows anymore. The files started loading in. Normal stuff at first. Screenshots, TikToks, a few memes. Then folders named after dates. And then we saw a folder called VaySleep_001. I don't even want to write this next part, but I need to. That folder had 6 video files. No thumbnails. Just black squares. All MP4. Dated days before we ever used the Ouija board. We opened the first one. It was filmed from a corner of a bedroom, my bedroom. But the image was crystal clear. A static camera angle, wide lens, like something a stalker would hide in a vent or behind a bookshelf. I was in bed, sleeping, not tossing or turning, dead asleep. For 8 full minutes, nothing happened. Then, at exactly 4:03 a.m., the door slowly opened. A shape slipped inside. I felt my heart actually stop. It was someone, dressed in all black, gloved hands, red mask, same blank porcelain face we saw in the live stream. The thing just stood in my room, watching me, breathing. It leaned over my bed and hovered there, inches from my face. I swear to God, I saw myself twitch in the video, like I could sense it, even in my sleep. Then the person stepped back, pulled something out of their hoodie pocket, a small mirror the size of a phone, and aimed it at me. Now, don't keep back. The reflection in the mirror didn't show me. It showed Eli, lying in a completely different room, also asleep. Then the video cut. We played the second file. This time, it was Jesse's room. Same angle, same timestamp, 4:03 a.m. The figure entered again, but this time, it wasn't masked. It wasn't anyone we recognized. But its face, God, I don't know how to say this. Its face was moving. Not like expressions. I mean the entire face was shifting, sliding, melting sideways, like it couldn't hold shape. Eyes in the wrong place, mouth under its chin, like someone had put on a mask and the mask sank into the skin and got stuck halfway. Jessie sat up in bed in the video, but her eyes were rolled back completely, like she was sleepwalking or being puppeted. She reached toward the thing, slowly, like she was offering herself. And it just stood there, pulsing, glitching in and out of frame, like it was trying to exist, but the world was rejecting it. The video cut. Each file was a different room, different night. Every time the figure entered, it brought that same mirror. Every time, it showed someone else's reflection, someone else sleeping, until we got to the last file. No timestamp, just a blank screen. Then, white static. And then, it loaded. A new room. We didn't recognize it at first. It was all red. Same red paint, same single chair, same setup as the original Red Room livestream. Except this one was different. It had a mirror where the camera should have been. And sitting in the chair was me, tied up, silent, bleeding from the eyes, mouth hanging open like a puppet with the strings cut. My skin looked waxy, too pale, and worst of all, I could see myself blinking. That wasn't a recording. It was a live feed. The video started glitching. Garbled text flashed on screen. Feed the room or become the room. Then it cut to black. Eli threw the laptop and started dry heaving into a plastic bag. The hard drive kept making this clicking noise, like it was still being written to. But the laptop was off, disconnected, and somehow the power light on the drive stayed on. I grabbed it, yanked out the cord, and tossed it into a plastic tub of water. But I swear to God, it kept buzzing under the water like something was alive inside it. Eli was losing it. He said we had to go back to the basement. Said we needed to finish what we started. I didn't want to. Everything in my body said no, but he kept saying, "It's not over until the board says goodbye." We never said goodbye. So we did it. We went back to the basement where the board had been. The room was darker than I remembered, damper. The walls were wet, like they were sweating. There were more of those handprints now, dozens, all pressed upward from beneath the floor. Eli pulled out the board from the plastic bag he'd hidden it in. It was warped, swollen from moisture, but the letters were still clear. We lit the candles, sat down, hands on the planchette. He asked, "What do you want from us?" It moved instantly. BLOODI asked, "Whose blood?" MINE. Then it paused. The planchette started moving again. YORUS. We were both frozen. Then the power went out. Pitch black. All we had was candlelight, and from behind the furnace, we heard it. Dragging. Something dragging across the floor. Slow, wet, heavy. Then a voice. Not from the board. Not from a speaker. From the fucking walls. It whispered, "Oh, you've been watching the stream. Now the stream is watching you." Eli bolted. I tried to follow, but something grabbed my leg. I looked down, and there was a hand sticking out of the concrete, grabbing my ankle. I screamed, kicked, got free. Oh. Ran upstairs. When I got out of the house, Eli was already in the street, staring up at the second floor window. He said, without looking at me, "There's someone in my room, and it's wearing my face." I looked up, and yeah, he was right. There was something standing in the window, smiling, holding up the Ouija board. I smoked too fast, and the worst part? Its mouth was moving, like it was counting down. I haven't told you yet what we saw on Ian's TikTok when we finally found his hidden account, or what happened when we found the mirror shop from the livestream metadata. If this reaches anyone, don't go near a .onion link spelled out by a Ouija board. They're not sites, they're traps. There's no map for what we're going through. No how-to guides for when the digital world infects the real one. I don't think this is even just about ghosts or demons anymore. Something ancient is using the internet as its gateway, feeding off screens, signals, bandwidth. Us. We thought it was over when we left Eli's house that night. We thought running away would buy us time. We were wrong. You can't outrun something that's already inside your devices. You can't escape something that knows your name, your face, your password, your soul. It started with Ian. We hadn't heard from him since the night he bailed. He was gone, blocked us, disappeared from every app. No Snap stories, no Insta Reels. It was like he got wiped clean. But 3 days ago, Jesse's little brother sent me a link. Said he found something weird through TikTok's auto-recommend page. while scrolling horror content. It was a video posted at 3:33 a.m. on a throwaway account named @RoomWatcher666. The account had 0 followers, 0 following, just one video. It showed Ian, or what used to be Ian. He was in a small closed space, dim red lighting, walls of fabric, maybe. You could hear him breathing, hyperventilating. His eyes were swollen shut like he hadn't slept in days. He was scratching at something above him. Then the camera angle changed, and we realized the walls weren't fabric. They were wood. The red light was a heat lamp screwed into the top corner. And the scratching, he was clawing at the inside of a coffin lid. At one point he held up a phone with shaking hands. The battery was at 1%. The screen said, "No signal. Searching for network. Emergency calls only." He whispered one thing, almost too soft to catch. "They buried me, but I'm still online." Then the screen flashed red, and a robotic text overlay appeared. "Feed complete. Next host. Loading." The video looped, but here's the worst part. I recognized the coffin. Not because I'd seen it before, because I'd felt it. Every night since the Ouija board, I've had this dream. I'm trapped in a tight space, breathing warm air, smelling sweat, dirt, and something rotting. I wake up choking every time, convinced I'm suffocating. And now, I know why. I wasn't dreaming. I was watching. After the TikTok video, Eli said we needed to find the source. Not the person, not the entity, the place. And that's when he dropped something he'd been hiding from me. He'd been digging into the .onion link metadata, cross-referencing it with packet delays, VPN logs, whatever hacker crap he knew how to do. And he found coordinates. They weren't in the video. They were embedded in the audio file of the Ouija board session we recorded on his phone. That night we asked the board for a name. There was background static, except the static had a pattern, a repeating signal. He ran it through spectrograph software. The waveform revealed GPS coordinates, a real place, a mirror shop in upstate New York. Real store, real Yelp reviews, real Instagram account with dusty old posts of Victorian glass frames and antique silvered mirrors. Last update, 9 years ago. We drove there. It was a 5-hour trip, no music, no jokes, just silence, fast food, and pit stops where we looked over our shoulders every 3 seconds. When we got there, the building looked off. It was too narrow, like one of those false facades in Disneyland, hiding a backstage entrance. There were no windows on the second floor, and the door, completely black, reflective, like a giant iPhone screen. No handle, just a keypad. We were about to turn around when Eli's phone buzzed. He'd received an airdrop request from a device named "Say Goodbye" or "Enter." The file was just one word: open, and the door clicked. I wish we hadn't gone in. I wish we'd set the building on fire and walked away. But we didn't. We stepped inside. The air hit me first. Stale, electric, almost charged, like breathing through a microwave. The floor was covered in mirrors, cracked and uneven, like a shattered funhouse maze. And all around us, reflections of ourselves. Only wrong. In one reflection, Eli had no eyes. In another, my mouth was sewn shut. One mirror showed us dead, twitching. Another showed us smiling while something burned behind us. We wandered for what felt like hours. Time didn't feel right in there. My watch stopped. My phone died instantly. But the cameras in the mirrors kept rolling. Yes, the mirrors had cameras inside them, little red dots glowing behind the glass, all of them trained on us. And then we reached the back room. No lights, just one massive floor-to-ceiling mirror with the words, "This is not a reflection, it's a window." We stood there for what felt like forever, just staring. Then, the mirror shifted. The reflection was gone. It showed the red room, empty chair, camera still, blood-splattered walls, and a mirror in the background facing away from us. We saw something in that mirror, a figure, tall, thin, wrapped in cloth and wires like a mummy made from phone cables. Its face was a CRT television screen, flickering static and bleeding colors. It reached toward the glass. Eli stepped forward. It touched the other side, and then the mirror cracked. Just one line running straight down the center, and from it, blood started leaking. We ran, but the hallways had changed. The layout was inverted. The first week I took my hand, somewhere below me, all the noise and walls. Something with too many arms, something twitching, something wearing all our faces at once. We finally reached the exit. Eli collapsed on the sidewalk outside, dry heaving. I looked back at the building, and the door was gone. The whole storefront was now a brick wall, solid, no signage, no address, as if the building had never existed. When we got back to the car, we found Eli's phone on the dashboard. He swore he had it in his pocket. The lock screen had changed, new wallpaper, a screenshot of our reflection from the cracked mirror. Only this time, we were both missing our eyes. And then the final blow. That night, I got a FaceTime call. No caller ID, just the word, watch. I answered. It was Eli, tied up in the red room, gagged, crying, bleeding. And behind him, that thing, that tall, wire-wrapped corpse, holding the Ouija board in its long, split fingers. It moved the planchette by itself, one letter at a time, spelling, feed the room or join the collection. And then the screen went dark. I tried to call back, nothing. I rushed to his house, empty, abandoned, but his bathroom mirror, shattered, and carved into the wall behind it, in blood, were the words, Ghosts are just lost streams, and you're next to buffer. I haven't shown you what's in the USB drive that was mailed to me yesterday, with no return address. Or what I saw when I rewound the live stream, frame by frame, and saw my own birth being played in reverse. The Red Room doesn't stream from the internet. It streams through it. And once you see it, it sees you forever. I'm writing this in a motel off some nameless highway that doesn't even show up on Google Maps. The power flickers every 10 minutes. The walls bleed static. The air feels thinner here, like the world is holding its breath. I haven't seen my own reflection in 2 days, because it's not me anymore. Not really. Not since I watched the USB. It showed up in a plain, unmarked envelope. No stamps, no return address. Just slid under my door in the middle of the night, like it had crawled there on its own. The drive was pitch black, with no branding. Cold, wet. It smelled like dirt and burnt plastic. I didn't plug it into my laptop, not after everything. I used an old burner Chromebook I picked up at a pawn shop, wiped it, disabled Wi-Fi, ran it on battery alone. When I opened the drive, there was only one folder, Watch Before Sleeping. Inside, 17 video files, one .txt file, a hidden folder called Collected. Let's start with the text file. It opened in Notepad, just black background, red text, like someone had typed it in blood, letter by letter, while laughing. It said, "You look too long, you clicked too far. You didn't say goodbye. Now you are mine. You are content. You are content." The last sentence repeated over and over 600 times. The file was 38 MB, just from that one sentence. Then the laptop screen flickered, even though it was disconnected from everything. And all the video files renamed themselves. 2 dates. Past dates. One was titled Your First Nightmare, another, The Day You Should Have Died. And the last one, Your Final Stream. I watched the first file. It started as home footage. A baby, me, in a crib, screaming, but not normal screaming. It sounded distorted, like the audio had been stretched and reversed. In the corner of the room, barely visible, stood a tall shadow, flickering in and out like a glitching hologram. I couldn't look away, even when it leaned over the crib, even when its face split open and another face crawled out. A face that looked exactly like mine, aged up, watching me, reaching for me. The next file was a middle school hallway. My middle school. The lockers were torn open, desks flipped, blood smeared across the tile in long, dragging lines. And in the center of the hallway, a live feed of me, right now, watching the footage. Behind me in the video, the motel room. This motel room. The third file. Footage from Eli's basement. But it wasn't a normal video. It was surveillance. Hours of it. Thousands of short clips, each named after a number. In one clip, Eli is screaming, tearing at his skin, carving the word leave into his own arms. In another, Jessie's lifeless body is slumped against the furnace, except her eyes are open and her pupils are mirrors. And in the longest clip, me, lying in the red room, silent, the Ouija board placed over my chest, the planchette jammed into my mouth like a gag. My fingers were twitching like I was still talking to it. Then I opened the hidden folder, collected thousands of images. Every one was a freeze frame from the red room. Different people, different victims. Some of them missing limbs, others with sewn shut eyes. A few were still smiling, but every single one had a mirror behind them. And in that mirror, the next victim. Always. And then I found the final file. The one named Your Final Stream. The file wouldn't open at first. Then it launched into full screen by itself. Black and white feed. Timestamps ticking down. 3 days from now. I tried to exit. Couldn't. I shut the laptop, but I could still hear it. I heard my own voice whispering, I see you. I see me. I become we. I opened the screen again, and there I was, dead, slumped in a bathtub, eyes carved out, mirror propped against a wall across from me. The reflection showed a second version of me, still alive, standing, holding a camera, smiling. That version raised a hand and waved. I waved back, without realizing it, and the video stopped. But the laptop didn't. It powered on by itself 5 minutes later, started playing a live stream, not from a .onion link, from YouTube, public. 1.3 million views. The title was Real Death Streamed Live, unedited footage of the last host. The thumbnail was a screenshot of this motel room. I opened it. The video showed me at my desk, typing. The same exact moment I was watching. There was a delay of about 5 seconds, just enough to see myself turn toward the mirror and see something standing behind me that wasn't there in real life. Not yet. That was 40 minutes ago. Now, every screen I pass, gas station pumps, airport TVs, Apple Store displays, they're all showing the stream. People are watching, commenting, liking, reacting with laughing emojis, and like I'm just content now. Another video in the feed. Another offering to the room. There's one thing I didn't tell you, because I didn't know how to say it until now. After Eli vanished, I tried to call his number one last time. It rang. Someone picked up, but it wasn't him. It was a voice that sounded like it had no mouth, like it was speaking from inside a throat torn open with broken glass. It said, "You made the stream real. You let them in. We don't haunt houses. We haunt bandwidth." Every click was a prayer. Every view was a ritual. You made us influencers, and now you will influence the end. They aren't ghosts, they aren't demons, they're algorithms, possessed by something older than God, hungry for attention, thriving on likes, sustained by views. They feed on engagement. And you, reading this, you're not a witness, you're a participant. This post, it's not a warning, it's the bait. The live stream link is already hiding in your source code. The red room is buffering in your camera roll. Don't look in your mirror. Don't answer your phone. Don't open any file that says final in the name. And for the love of God, never ever use a Ouija board with Wi-Fi.